Taboo.
Taboo.
It's sweet as taboo.
Taboo?
Taboo Tuesday.
Taboo Topic Tuesday.
Jody and Hazy's Taboo Topic Tuesday.
Geez, we're having fun with this, Joe. It's Taboo Topic Tuesday, where nothing is off limits. You can get involved as well. Breakfast at nova919.com.au. We'll cover all the topics. The others, just a little bit hesitant to touch.
Yeah, and we are about to have a chat to Sam Hunter. He is a male escort. I'm going to read you a little bit of his bio. I'm passionate in all facets of my life, my creative outlets, my volunteer work, and of course, in your arms. Here is where my sensual side soars, relishing in every touch given and received, right up until the neighbours know my name.
This is outstanding. He joins us, Samuel Hunter. Good morning, mate.
Good morning.
Oh,
so many questions,
1,000
Sam.
questions.
So
Where do we
many.
start? Straight from the top, mate, how did you get into this profession?
I heard about people with disability were using NDIS funds to access sex workers, and I kind of thought about issues that people with disability have in terms of fulfilling their sexual needs, etc., and I gave it some thought and decided that was something I could do, and yeah, that was the initial part.
So you decide to become a male escort. What's the next step? Who do you call?
You get online, you kind of do as much research as you can, you come up with how you're going to sell yourself, and you do your photos and all that sort of jazz. And then at the end of the day, you put yourself out there, but it's not until somebody actually books you that changes that. So you can advertise till the cows come home, but if somebody doesn't actually book you, then you're not really one, are you?
So can we talk about your first job and just, how nervous were you, if you were?
I was pretty nervous. Actually, I'm still pretty nervous when I meet new people because you don't necessarily know a great deal about them or even what they look like. So, there's always a bit of nervousness and excitement. First one went pretty well because it was like a 2-hour booking, and then I think about 10 minutes in they said, how much more if you just stay the night? So
Wow.
you were like, oh, well, that's a good start.
Yeah. That's a positive endorsement. I'm looking at your bookings. You can get the business, which is $700 for 2 hours, Hazy. More, please, $1,000 for 3 hours. Teas and please, $1,200 for 4 hours. A more, leave no stone unturned, $1,700 for 6 hours. This is not a cheap service, is it, Sam?
It is kind of, actually. There's definitely higher rates out there, but it's not really something you can do 40 hours a week. So.
Yes. You've got to make it worth your while, don't you, Sam?
So on that, Sam, how many clients a week do you average?
It can really depend. I'd say the minimum would be 2 or 3.
Right.
But there has been the 40-hour kind of week, 7 days occasionally, and then usually that's followed by it being nice and quiet, which is good to rest and recover.
Sam, how do you find if, for example, you're not sort of physically attracted to the person that you're with? Is that an issue or...?
No, there's always something in everybody I've met that's attractive. Most people may fall out of that classic beauty standards, but that doesn't mean they're not attractive. I'd say probably the most thing that I've found here is probably, the age demographic is from, say, my age to mid-50s, as in the majority of that I see. And I have found that has skewed what I look for or that I find attractive out in the real world. I'm like, oh, quite nice. And some of my friends will be like, they're in their 50s. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't matter.
Yeah. Sam, does it, in terms of your clients, and obviously the ages range as well, but are we talking mainly single women or women in relationships, or is it a bit of a mix? It's
Mostly single women that I see. There's only a few that are married and aren't being satisfied,
Right.
having their needs met at home, and that's kind of the 2-hour ones. And then the longer stuff is for single women. They don't really have the time or don't have the care to get out onto the apps.
Have you ever had any unusual requests?
There's been quite a few things in this job that I'd not done before. That's for sure. I guess also my idea of unusual is probably pretty skewed to most people's idea of unusual.
Yeah.
Sam, are you in a relationship?
No.
Do you think that you could have a line of work like this and be in a relationship?
There's lots of my female peers that are in relationships and still do this work. My reasons is just that I don't want to be in a relationship regardless of the work. So, it's just a personal choice, I guess, just like in any other job about what you want to do outside of that work.
Yeah. I don't necessarily want to be in a relationship with Hazy, but yeah, here we are.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
So then, in saying that, is there a timeline? Do you think you will get to a stage, or have you got a timeline set where you go, okay, this is the next step of my life, or I want to settle down?
I don't really know. I think my brother said this to me once. He was like, well, what are you going to do when you're 50? Well, I guess it depends on when the phone stops ringing. Like, I have had a client who is 70, and she does get a bit funny about that I'm quite a lot younger than her.
Right.
And so, there is still a demographic when you skew older, as opposed to my ability to still do it. I don't know. I spend a good amount of time to make sure that I'm balanced and time out for myself, not, suffer burnout or anything.
Yeah. And what was it? You mentioned your brother before. What was the reaction like to your family when you told them this was your profession?
Well, my two brothers, obviously, they're boys, so they were all kind of, nice one, dude. But then they also were like, this was no shock to anybody that this is where you ended up doing.
Right.
Mum was a bit funny to start with, but then she's on board. And when I was there at Christmas time, she was asked, quite threw me off. She was quite interested in asking me about all sorts of things about it. I was like, I answered, and I was a bit thrown because I wasn't expecting it, because she usually doesn't ask those sort of things like, where do you advertise? What are your clients like? Yeah. She even said she works volunteer for an organisation. At the end of the year, they gave her $100 gift card, and she was like, well, that's not going to get me an escort, is it?
That's excellent.
Well, Sam, it's been absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Sam. Awesome, mate. We really appreciate your time. That was awesome.
Thanks.